Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, August 23rd. A lot to talk about this morning. We have a lot going on. Very nice day once again in the Mid-Atlantic region, but an unsettled weather pattern is about to kick into gear again. It looks like anytime from late tonight into the upcoming weekend, there will be a renewed threat of showers and thunderstorms, and certainly some of that rain can be heavy at times on Thursday and Thursday night, for example, maybe even into the day on Friday as well. So one more very nice day in the Mid-Atlantic region, but then the unsettled weather returns. Meanwhile, out in the middle of the country, very, very strong upper level ridging continues to generate a heat wave, an intense heat wave from the upper part of the Midwest all the way down to the Gulf Coast. In this heat zone here, there is very high humidity. Some of the dew points are very, very uncomfortable levels, well up in the 70s. St. Louis this morning, for example, had a dew point of 77 degrees on their way up to about 100-degree high temperature this afternoon. But again, that heat wave continues from the upper Midwest to the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, in the southwestern states, some moisture from Tropical Storm Harold that rolled across southern Texas will push to the north and west into places like New Mexico and Arizona over the next day or so. So a lot going on here. Let's start off by looking at the tropical scene. We talked the other day about two systems of interest, and they continue to be the main areas of interest right now. Harold formed over the western Gulf of Mexico, right in this region right here, started to create a spin and then moved westward, caused some heavy rain in the southern part of Texas. It has certainly weakened right now, but a lot of its moisture will push northwest. We'll see in a few minutes here into New Mexico and Arizona. And that's pretty much good news for the desert regions of the southwestern states, although there's even some excessive rainfall associated with the tropical moisture from Harold, the leftover tropical moisture from the weekend, and some monsoonal moisture, some flooding this morning around the Grand Canyon, the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Meanwhile, strong tropical storm here, Franklin, will cross over the Hispaniola Island with Haiti on the western side, Dominican Republic on the right side there, the eastern side, and there are some high mountains on that island, so that will certainly inhibit any kind of intensification in the near term for Franklin. However, once it crosses that island and out into the southwestern Atlantic, it'll start to intensify and likely become a hurricane right in this region, then start to make a turn to the north and west. Now, we talked in the last video discussion about an upper level trough sliding across the northeastern part of the nation later this week into the upcoming weekend, likely pulling this back out to sea, inhibiting it from ever reaching the U.S. East Coast. It still looks like the case. It's something we have to watch. There's always an outside chance that the trough moves on by and this slows down and does not get pushed to the north and east. But I think the odds certainly favor right now that this will get kind of pushed in this direction here, maybe have an impact on the Canadian maritime provinces, but because of that troughiness in the northeastern states, likely little to no impact on the U.S. East Coast. A couple other systems out here not of any concern right now. Well, before we kind of break down last night's 0Z run of the GFS, let's take a look at the GFS forecast map for the next 5 days of total precipitation and a few areas of interest here. First of all, the remains of Harold will certainly push some moisture to the north and west over the next couple of days into Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. There's some monsoonal moisture involved in this pattern as well. By that I mean some moisture coming in off the Pacific Ocean into the southwestern states. Notice, by the way, California is a good drying out period over the next 5 days. So again, some tropical moisture will add to the afternoon and evening shower and thunderstorm pattern, somewhat typical for this time of the year in the southwestern states. Meanwhile, northeastern part of the nation. After another nice day today with low humidity and pleasant temperatures, the unsettled weather pattern that we had earlier this summer comes back to the Mid-Atlantic region really towards daybreak tomorrow. There'll be a chance for showers and thunderstorms, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, associated with a warm frontal system. Then a cold frontal system will enhance that threat for showers and thunderstorms later tomorrow into the day on Friday. And then a secondary cold front comes early part of the upcoming week, and the end result will be chance of showers and thunderstorms from late tonight into the upcoming weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., and certainly some of that rain can be heavy at times. Meanwhile, there's some heavy rainfall depicted over the next few days as a result of Tropical Storm Franklin. Well, let's take a look at last night's 0Z run of the GFS. We're starting off here with a view of North America, kind of a big picture view here, and looking at the 500 millibar height anomalies. A few things to note. First of all, very, very strong upper level ridge here at the 500 millibar level, centered right over the middle part of the nation, and this is causing a heat wave all the way from the upper Midwest to the Gulf Coast, right in this area right here. And accompanying the heat is high humidity with dew points well up in the 70s in many areas. I saw some dew points at 80 degrees on Tuesday afternoon. So very, very uncomfortable conditions right in this part of the nation. But in the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., with that high pressure sitting over the middle of the nation, still a northwesterly flow in the upper part of the atmosphere, and that is keeping some pleasant conditions. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, Boston have had really a pretty pleasant summer overall with this kind of a pattern, northwesterly flow in the upper part of the atmosphere. It has been active at times with numerous showers and thunderstorms until recently. And that pattern, again, will kick into gear, the unsettled weather pattern, by late tonight into the upcoming weekend. But with the high-pressure ridge centered over the middle of the nation, northwesterly flow continues in the northeast U.S. Now, let's move forward here and clear the deck here, and now we'll move forward here and watch what happens to this high-pressure ridge. This is where it is positioned right now as we begin the day on Wednesday. But over the next few days, it tends to retrograde. By that I mean it kind of pulls back to the west, the south and west. Meanwhile, you still have some troughiness right here in the northeastern part of the nation. Anytime long-time viewers of my videos here know that I really like to focus in on high-pressure ridging in southeastern Canada to determine if there will be a enhanced chance of tropical activity down across the southeastern states and the Gulf of Mexico. That is not the case right now. That's why Franklin right here looks like while it may start to turn to the U.S. East Coast, will tend to get swept up by this next upper level trough. And again, this is the forecast map for the middle of the day on Saturday. This is Franklin reflected at the 500 millibar level. So the retrograde, high pressure ridge in here, it continues to retrograde to the south and west. Let's keep moving forward here. And here we go with that trough right here over the northeastern states. By the time we get to Sunday afternoon, Franklin has little chance to make it all the way to the U.S. East Coast. Something we'll continue to monitor, though. And here we go forward into the day on Monday, and then Monday night and Tuesday. There is that little window of opportunity here when a high-pressure ridge does form over the Canadian Maritime provinces. And here's the reflection of Franklin as of next Tuesday. Certainly close enough that have to keep an eye on, especially for New England and certainly for the Canadian Maritime provinces. Let's go out a little bit farther in time, and at this point the GFS just kind of kicks it out to the North Atlantic as a result of yet another incoming upper level trough into the northeastern part of the nation. Meanwhile, out in the middle of the country, that high pressure ridge that is currently sitting right in this region just tends to retrograde over the next several days over the Four Corners region, and it'll be centered over this part of the nation of about a week from now, or even next Thursday, as this particular forecast map shows, and that will produce quite a bit of hot weather out here, but continuation of northwesterly flow in the Middle Atlantic and Northeast U.S. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from the 0Z run of the GFS Franklin. First of all, right here, impact in Dominican Republic, Haiti, and again, there are some high mountains on the island of Hispaniola that will prevent it from intensifying over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. But then as it moves out over the open waters of the southwestern Atlantic, it should reach hurricane status and take a turn to the north and west. But again, odds favor never reaching the U.S. East Coast, something we'll continue to, of course, closely monitor. Meanwhile, we're starting off today here on Wednesday, moisture right here, and that's from the remains of Tropical Storm Harold, which developed in the southwestern Gulf, crossed over southern Texas with some welcome heavy rains in that part of Texas, and of course the clouds and the rain kept temperatures cooler than it otherwise would have been. But this moisture certainly impacts Arizona and New Mexico over the next couple of days. Let's move forward here, and here we go. By the time we get to later today, a lot of moisture over Arizona and New Mexico, and even extending up into Utah and Colorado. Some of that tropical, some of it monsoonal. And let's keep moving forward here. And we'll have a mesoscale convective complex develop overnight tonight. Eastern Ohio Valley, eastern Great Lakes, places like Cleveland may get impacted by a cluster of showers and thunderstorms, and that pushes to the east tomorrow, and some of the residual shower and thunderstorm activity may push all the way into the middle part of Pennsylvania, maybe across West Virginia. Maybe some of that activity makes it all the way down to the I-95 corridor region. Whether or not the remnants of that MCS make it to the I-95 corridor region, there will be a pretty good chance of showers and thunderstorms as that unsettled weather pattern returns. Meanwhile, later tomorrow, still some residual moisture in the Four Corners region from Harold. Now let's move forward here. We have showers and thunderstorms possible tomorrow night, into the day on Friday, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., and some of that rain can be heavy at times. It's kind of enhanced by the remnants of that mesoscale convective complex during the day on Thursday. Then we move forward here, stays unsettled into the day on Friday, and then we'll move into the upcoming weekend. Here we are Saturday morning. This is where Franklin is now. Notice 998 millibars. It's intensifying. Once it passes that high terrain island of Hispaniola into the southwestern Atlantic, it likely intensifies into a hurricane and then starts to make a move to the north and west. But remember, upper level troughiness will continue to push across the northeastern states, probably eliminating any chance of Franklin to ever making it to the U.S. East Coast. But something we have to monitor over the next few days. Let's move forward here. Here we go into the day on Sunday. Here's Franklin now down to 986 millibars. Hurricane Franklin at this particular time. Meanwhile, still some cool air over the northeastern part of the nation, the southeastern part of Canada. And Franklin starts to make a turn to the north and west, so certainly something to keep our eyes on over the next few days, especially if you're in New England. But still, an upper level trough keeps it unsettled all the way into the early part of next week and probably inhibits Franklin from making much of a move any closer to the coast into the early week time period. Then we go forward all the way out to a week from right now. This is next Wednesday, a week from right now, and Franklin starts to push into the North Atlantic by this time, all as a result of those upper level troughs moving into the northeastern part of the nation. So a lot going on. We have a couple of tropical systems that are having an impact, one in the southwestern U.S. with residual moisture from what was Tropical Storm Harold. The other, Franklin, a tropical storm certainly impacting Haiti and Dominican Republic right now. A storm we'll keep our eyes on over the next several days. Blistering heat wave continues from the upper Midwest to the Gulf Coast. One more nice day in the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., but then very unsettled weather pattern begins towards daybreak on Thursday and continues right into the upcoming weekend and perhaps even into the early part of next week without much of a break. Maybe the best weather over the next several days will be Sunday, but that's a question mark as well. So that's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.